let's discuss what to drink when you're doing fasting, okay, in general. Does it really matter?
Are there things that will bump you out of ketosis?
Let's first start with water. Please comment down below of what type of water that you drink. Is it tap water, plastic bottles? Do you use glass bottles? Do you use a water filter? I'm really curious. Obviously, you probably already know that tap water is pretty toxic. So a lot of people are shifting to more bottled water. The problem with bottled water is that you're constantly consuming microplastics, and once it gets in your body, it's really hard to get out of your body. And these are endocrine disruptors. So in other words, they mimic estrogen and they kind of mess up your hormones. But there's certain types of plastics that are lower than others, like Perrier, Pellegrino, LaCroix, things like that. And then, of course, when you get into glass bottles, those are better, but they're very expensive. And then you also have the canned water, right? That is expensive, but it also has another toxin called BPA. Unless you live on a farm like I do and get your water from, a well or a spring, you're going to be better off getting a water filter. When I lived in the city, there was a really good water filter I got from a company called Crystal Quest. I'll put a link down below. I'm not affiliated with this company. I'm not getting an affiliate check or anything like that, but it's a good company for different water filters. But they have some really good pictures that I want to talk about, like these containers of water you can keep in your fridge. So you just get it from the tap. It filters it through 4 stages. It pulls out the heavy metals, the chemicals, the medications, bacteria, all this other stuff, and you have some really good clean water. And I'm not sure if they have shower filters that pull out fluoride. And if you get rid of this fluoride, you're going to find like your skin does a lot better. And if you do plastic water or these canned water type things, I probably just wouldn't do a lot of them. Just don't make it your lion's share of liquids. When I drink water, I just don't feel that my thirst gets quenched. There's something about it. But when I drink carbonated water, it's a whole different story. I actually feel more hydrated. I can drink that. It goes down fine. And I do want to mention a theory I have on why that is, I think, better for me, is because, first of all, there's carbon dioxide. When you introduce carbon dioxide to your body, you create some real interesting effects, especially with oxygen. You actually increase more oxygen into your tissues. With the carbon dioxide, you also acidify the water a little bit more, and that could potentially be better on your digestion. But yes, we do need oxygen, but we also need CO2. Equally as important. In fact, there's something called the Bohr effect. The CO2 helps take that oxygen that gets absorbed in your blood and helps push it deeper into your cells. Let me just give you an example of what happens when you get too much oxygen. When you're hyperventilating, and you can feel more anxiety and more dizzy, things like that. So what's the remedy? To breathe in a paper bag. What are you doing when you're breathing in a paper bag? You're getting more CO2, which then helps the oxygen go into the tissues, and it can pull you out of a state of anxiety very, very quickly. So again, we need this balance of CO2 and oxygen. This is why anytime you're stressed, you should slow down your breathing, breathe through your nose slowly, in and out. And in your sinuses, you actually condition the air to allow better oxygen that penetrates deeper into the cells with the CO2. And so the CO2 in the water does help increase something called the parasympathetic nervous system, which actually is more calming and it's more for relaxation. And then we have, what can you put in your water? Let's first start with apple cider vinegar. Okay, 1 tablespoon in a glass of water. What does that do? It can give you energy directly. It can help with insulin resistance. It can actually help make insulin more sensitive. It can help the mitochondria work better. It's also been shown in animal studies to help counter the negative effect of aging on your mitochondria. That's pretty cool. And it can even help you if you have a fatty liver. If you add some lemon to that, you get some additional benefits of vitamin C if it's from raw lemons. I also add my electrolyte powder to the water sometimes, not with every single glass of water, but maybe one time in the morning. Some sea salt to the water, okay? This is something that I think is just really underrated, but very important that a lot of people forget about when they do the ketogenic diet. If you don't have enough salt, okay, you're going to feel weak. You're going to find that your sleep isn't going to be as great. In fact, just do an experiment. Add a little bit of salt to some water right after dinner and drink that down and see if that doesn't improve your sleep. Salt or sodium is very important for reducing this stressed state. Okay, it's called the sympathetic nervous system. Sodium helps reduce that. If you're low on salt, which a lot of people doing the ketogenic diet are, especially if you're doing like one meal a day, they might end up finding that they feel a little bit weak. Their muscles tighten up. They get more cramps, all because they needed more sea salt. I do have an electrolyte powder specifically for sports if you're sweating that has more sodium. So that can be something that you can use, but the whole reason why I designed my regular electrolyte powder, which has a lower amount of salt, is mainly for potassium and magnesium because so many people just don't get enough of that. And when someone starts getting enough of that, boy, that can really change a lot of things with their energy, their muscle, and their nervous system. Okay, so that's water. What about all these drinks that have stevia, the natural sweetener? You have to be careful because a lot of times they'll add maltodextrin to this natural sweetener, stevia. So you have to make sure they don't put that in there. But a lot of people have like different sodas using stevia, different drinks with stevia, totally fine. And you can also do the sugar alcohols, but realize that a lot of times they'll add different things in the ingredients. So you have to read the label and find something maybe with erythritol, monk fruit, or stevia. All right, what about coffee? The thing about coffee, it's totally fine. Personally, I just do one in the morning. Some people do more. Just realize that could affect your sleep because of the caffeine. I would recommend doing organic coffee because out of all the things out there that are so heavily sprayed with insecticides and herbicides and fungicides, coffee is at the top of the list. And even better than even half and half, like just 100% cream. Sometimes people use bulletproof, which is they're adding butter and MCT oil. That's good for certain people, but if you're trying to lose weight, okay, and you add that, that could slow you down a little bit because your body is going to burn those fat calories and not your own fat. Now, the next topic is tea. You have black tea, green tea. Just realize that if you do a lot of tea and coffee, it can deplete you of vitamin B1. So if that starts happening, replace it with B1 because if you are low in B1, you're going to feel irritable, kind of stressed. And you might think it's coming from stress, but in reality, it's just coming from a B1 deficiency. What about coconut water? Well, some people can get away with that. Most people cannot because there's sugar in coconut water. There's electrolytes in there. I would recommend not doing the coconut water. All right, what about alcohol? Is that a good source of hydration? No. They recently have found out that there is no benefits to alcohol. Like they said before, like, oh yeah, just enjoy a glass of wine each night for your health to add more health benefits. They finally acknowledged that wasn't true. Not to mention knocking you out of ketosis and autophagy because of what it does to the liver. Then we have something called kombucha, a very carbonated, highly pressured. So when you open it, it could explode if you shake it. But it's a kind of a really acidic drink that is really good if someone's coming off alcohol. It gives kind of a calming effect. It has a tiny little bit of alcohol, but very carbonated. But there's still some sugar in there because that's how they make it. The yeast actually eat up the sugar, and it leaves you with all these different acids, right? And a little bit of that is fine, but I would not do a lot of it, especially because it has a lot of sugar and it can actually slow down your benefits of what you're trying to achieve. What about blended shakes like kale and blueberry? Those are fine, but they will kind of inhibit your fasting to a certain degree because there's calories. Now, the blueberries are a bit high in sugar, so I would just look at that as a meal, something that would be more around your meal, not during the fasting time. Now, what about sports drinks? Oh my gosh, you really have to read the labels because like the Gatorade and Powerade have a tremendous amount of sugar. I'm talking like 34 grams of sugar. I mean, if you compare that with a soda, That has 39 grams of sugar. And the type of sugar that they're giving you is probably beet sugar.
which is GMO.
And there's another type of drink called tonic drink, which I don't know, for some reason, I love tonic drink. But the problem is most of them have sugar. You have to get the one that has 0 sugar. But anyway, I wanted to kind of give you a summary of what you should drink when you're fasting. And now the question is, what should you eat when you come off fasting? For that information, watch this video right here.